The thoughts, views, and opinions expressed on Group Chat are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Buffalo Toronto Public Media, its leadership, or its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Buffalo has a voice, and today you hear about it. But I do have a question for you. What makes poetry hit so hard? April is National Poetry Month, and today we have local poets here to discuss all things poetry, the emotion, and real life experience on Group Chat. Stay tuned.
Hello, everyone. We're here with Group Chat, another episode. Taking it down is myself, Naila Ansari Cotillo, and Charles.
It's a tag team this week.
It's tag team this week. Oh my God, it's Charles.
Unfortunately, it's a tag team. The trio is not here,
I know,
but
we Bentley.
We send our well wishes to Bentley. She is out today, not feeling well. So, Bentley, you are here with us in spirit.
We missed you. Drop a comment in the chat, Bentley.
Yes, Bentley, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to this episode. Also, today's my daughter's birthday. Happy birthday to my princess.
20, woman dad at this point.
Yes, I am a woman dad. It's a little different.
It's okay. We got you.
Yeah,
it gets better by 26.
I hope so.
Well, we're getting ready because we always start the show out with State of the Scroll. And we have some I'm actually excited about this because it's kind of like juicy, messy gossip. It's giving very kind of TMZ vibes this morning.
We always... Especially like me and you.
I know, we're the worst. Bentley's always like a little classier in the group chats, I feel like.
We are the worst. We are very messy.
We are. We have... I mean, well, you have to be. When some of the stuff comes out, it's just so ridiculous. It's just like, how do you not respond to this craziness?
So 3 things we're talking about this week in our State of the Scroll. And the main one pertains to stan culture.
Yes.
Because Meg the Stallion, and Klay Thompson, former Golden State Warrior, now plays for the Mavericks, were in a relationship.
What was? Okay.
Almost
situationship.
Almost a year they were
together.
Listen,
that was longer than I thought. When I heard about it, I was like, I'll give this 3 weeks. So
over the weekend, Meg took to social media with a post that had people curious about her relationship with Klay, and then she then went on and confirmed that she decided to end her relationship with Klay Thompson on TMZ. She told TMZ about it, and everybody and their mother had something to say about this.
Including Klay himself, because he was not feeling being outed like that.
Well, I mean,
from Meg.
She basically was saying that, he didn't want to continue in this monogamous relationship, cheating, having to deal with his erratic behavior, his mood swings, all this stuff. And I don't know what to call the Meg fans, because you know how like Beyonce has the Beehive.
Yeah.
Nicki has the Barbs, Rihanna has the Navy. I don't know what the Meg
Stallions. Are they the Stallions?
Maybe.
I don't know. I was never a Meg fan enough to care that much.
But they basically came out, and they are the hotties. Thank you. Haley got in my hair and said it's the hotties.
The hotties. Thanks, Haley.
Okay.
The hotties.
So the hotties came out and basically, you know what? Since they are hotties, yes, they probably had flamethrowers and basically was torching Klay Thompson.
Fire emojis everywhere in the chat.
Yes, fire, like all types of stuff. They were asking the Etsy witch doctor to like cast a spell
that's ridiculous.
on Klay and going after him. One that was actually funny is somebody literally was like, and this has a tie to PBS.
Oh, I saw this.
They said that Klay Thompson looks like the PBS logo.
No, PBS came back and said, "Why? How did we get in it?"
Like PBS is like, What did I do?
They had a Wendy's comeback. I was very proud. I was like, whoever is doing our social media at PBS, kudos to the comeback.
They were literally like, yo, why are we in this? Like,
Why are we all in this? Like, why are we in your diary entries? I'm so confused.
I always say when it comes to these public relationships, we don't want to be in the chat.
At all.
You know, we don't want to be in this. We don't want to hear about what's going on. Meg had to end her role in Moulin Rouge.
Oh,
She
gosh.
left early to take care of her
She
health
was
and-
heartbroken from Clay cheating on her.
heartbroken, whatever.
From an
but
NBA
then,
basketball
like,
player cheating.
a few days later, she's out at the club celebrating, drinking, doing whatever, and it's like, okay, you know,
But Clay claims, if I'm being messy, he said she cheated first. Probable on both sides, given the
All-
world that they live in.
all I will say is if you look at the history, not her dating history, but just her history, she's lied.
Yes, that's true.
She has cheated in the past. So it's
I believe both of them are at fault, and I don't care about either one of their relationships.
I don't care either. Like I wish this is over, but a lot of people think that this is going to lead to Meg's next album is going to
Oh
be,
yeah, well she tends to drag things out. Like Nicki Minaj is that way. Like it becomes a publicity stunt for your next venture. I did think Clay was a little messy. I don't know how true it was when he was at a game and had a Tory Lanez t-shirt on. I thought that was a little.
Yeah, I don't know about that either.
Yeah, I was like, I
did
hope this is
see-
AI.
I
Because
did see
Clay, that's a little
somebody-
messy.
I did see somebody say that or showed a Klay Thompson story post and it said free Tory. And I'm like, I don't know if Clay
I don't
did
know. He
that.
doesn't give me that petty, but you never know when people are in relationships. Petty rules
Right.
over. Any
And I
kind of
mean,
consciousness.
everybody talked about it. Even the one man that we both can't.
I know. Brick, Stephen A. Wait till next week.
He's
For that
basically
episode.
turning around being like, you know, Clay doesn't deserve this. He's a good man, future Hall of Famer. Like his accolades in basketball does not have to do with anything about his relationship.
I agree.
But at the same time, like this is Stephen A. and I think he's just trying to get he's just trying to join in on the conversation. And, you know, I'm annoyed with him. I'm extremely annoyed with him now because he was at the Lakers game yesterday and we lost. And I feel like we lost because
Probably. It's always
he
because of
was
Stephen
present.
A.
Like, we have the possibility of losing this series, and I fully blame Stephen A. Smith now.
It's his presence. It's always his.
He
it's
has
always
bad
him.
juju.
And he's about to mess up Clay too, because Clay might have had a decent alibi given Meg's history, but Stephen A. just needs to not say anything at all.
He just needs to just
Worry.
keep it,
He
keep
needs
it
to
quiet.
worry about what he knows.
Keep it. He don't know nothing.
Well,
He don't. He don't. He. Moving on, the highly anticipated biopic came out.
I saw
Michael.
it.
Oh, you saw it too?
I did see it.
Okay, so we can. Okay,
we can get down. I thought it was great.
Okay, so
Makeup was wonderful.
it did set an opening record, grossing 97 million domestically and 217 million globally, becoming the highest grossing music biopic in opening history. Okay,
That's incredible.
Despite the critics, like the movie critics, like Rotten Tomatoes and all that, gave
Which
it,
I don't care anything about
yeah,
what they
they
have
gave
to say.
it bad reviews and everything. Multiple other outlets gave it bad reviews. I went to see it. I loved it.
Me too. I thought it was. I thought it was great.
I know some people kind of was like, it was jumping all over the place, but I'm like, it's how I look at it is this was the beginning. So this is like the birth of Michael Jackson.
Yeah, for sure.
The star.
And if people saw the Broadway show, The Estate, that's kind of how they've always captured his story. So it's not like it's something that's super far fetched from where it's coming from if they have seen the Broadway show.
Yeah. And like, I mean, the only thing I would have pushback on is not having Janet. but I know there's reasons behind it.
Yeah, I mean, you
know.
always when you get into familial issues, it's always you know what it's like. It's better to not even go there.
Right. And I admired it. There was parts in there that I was watching and I was like, he really looked like Michael.
Oh, I know. It was like freaky how much he looked like Michael. And like not even just because they're like relatives, but the amount of work and rehearsal that he put in. I mean, like the body language and the movements that he had, not even just dancing, were incredible. I mean, I thought Colvin Domingo was and obviously him and Nia Long were they like he looked like Joe.
Listen, I wanted to jump through the screen.
I did too. I was like, okay.
To fight Joe.
And I used to love like the All American movie that came out like back in the day. That's a classic. But this was I never thought you could top Joe in that one because he also equally made me hate him, and I saw that movie. But this one, I was like, he is really Joe Jackson.
I was sitting there like, man, listen, I'll fight for Michael. But the one scene, and I mean, for people, it's not a spoiler because it's a biopic.
Right, everybody knows what happened to Michael.
You know Michael's story. But when Joe whooped Michael and Michael ran into the bathroom, and when Nia Long was at the door, I loved their story. I loved how they told Michael's story with his mom.
Yeah.
Because, we know how close Michael was with his mom. So we seen that, like at that moment right there, you felt that mother protecting her son, even though she wasn't in the bathroom with him because he didn't open the door.
He knew
but it
she was there.
Yeah. So that was incredible. And like I said, just the way he embodied Michael, like movement, voice, mannerisms, everything. And it really did tell an incredible story. And obviously, we did mention in the previous episodes when we did talk about the biopic, there was talks of the sequel. The way they ended it,
yeah, it definitely is.
It is going to be a
itself
sequel.
to more films.
I believe it's a trilogy.
Yeah,
because I believe this was the birth, the middle, the sequel. Part 2 is going to be like the life, and then obviously the third one is the passing of him, what led to it. And I think within that movie, there was certain elements that I caught that made me think when they continue the story, they're going to tap into certain things.
I agree.
Like the biggest one, which I know they're not really going to lean on as much because of the controversy and because of the legal stuff, is the allegations that was there.
Yeah, because I think the family's not allowed to.
They're not.
To be on any productions about it.
But you could tell that you just seen those certain shots of him when he's talking to the kids and the way like his security guard and his manager, the way they shot it in a way that it was kind of like foreshadowing something.
Yeah, that is. Well, what I appreciate about Jafar, I watched the interview and he used his diary entries, which I think is very different from a lot of other biopics or documentaries that try to cover Michael Jackson, is that besides the fact that it's his nephew, he has, he's reading his own entries from his journal. And being able to really capture those emotions and those feelings. And he talked about that. That really is what crafted his character, which I think is something that we have not seen before, which made the movie so special.
I'm not a big fan of list.
Oh.
But New York Times released their list of the 30 greatest living. I had to...
Yeah, I know. I had to go back and look at that too, because I was like, oh.
Yeah, because I was like,
list?
why is Prince not in this space?
Yeah, Prince would have been top notch for sure.
But it's the 30 greatest living American songwriters. More than 250 music insiders and 6 New York Times critics weighed in on this. Some notable songwriters was Neil Rogers, Stevie Wonder, Jay-Z, Taylor Swift, Missy Elliott, Dolly Parton, Lionel Richie, Young Thug.
That was that. I'm
Babyface.
Okay.
Babyface. Kendrick Lamar, Mariah Carey, Bad Bunny. Why is Young Thug in this list?
Because they needed a rapper that they thought was popular enough to.
Kendrick Duckworth Lamar is on this list.
But this is why we talk about the list and the award shows. You have people that really don't know every genre of music making decisions about every genre of music. to put in. Young Thug over Kendrick Lamar is egregious.
Well, it's not in an order. Like they don't have like the number one. It's just these
He
are the
shouldn't be
top
on it,
30.
period. Young Thug should not be on
shouldn't.
it at all.
I was trying to figure out because I don't understand what one Young Thug says. First off, like I don't understand the stuff he says. Like I don't.
They're going
going
off of streams. Have to.
I'm trying to mentally think of a song that I can possibly recite.
You won't
but
be
I
able
can't
to because nobody.
My brain doesn't have the capacity to store that in. You know what? When our guests come in, I'll ask them the same question, like, because we are talking about poetry and songwriting. Poetry is a form of that.
Let's ask them about Young Thug on this list.
That's what I want to know. Like, do they think Young Thug is one of the 30 greatest songwriters living in America?
No, I have students that I will put on the list before I put on Young Thug.
Make me walk up the set like that.
We need you, Charles.
Yeah,
We got 2 more segments left.
I'll be back. I'll just walk off and collect my thoughts and breathe a little bit. So that's what I would have done. So just saying. But that's it for the state. Scroll this week.
State of the Scroll. Well, we'll be back, and we have some amazing poets that is going to help us get into the world and the National Month of Poetry coming up next on Group Chat.
Public media keeps our community talking and thinking together. Hear perspectives that matter on BTPM NPR. Experience meaningful stories on BTPM PBS. Enjoy performances that connect us on BTPM Classical and discover new voices on BTPM The Bridge. These are conversations that shape our region and open our world. This is public media. Visit btpm.org.
Welcome back to Group Chat. I'm Naila Ansari Katillo. We just finished the State of the Scroll with Charles, and we're introducing National Poetry Month with some amazing poets. We have Itina Fareed, who is our Buffalo Poet Laureate. Snap, 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 snap.
Thank you.
We got Leah the teacher here, also
Hello.
Leah Griffin, but Leah the teacher, that's how we,
Yes.
Leah, poet extraordinaire. And we just left off having a little bit of it's not even a debate because we both agree that Young Thug was just recently listed on best songwriter list for the New York Times.
That's crazy.
Wild, crazy. And so we wanted to talk to actual experts because poetry is becoming so big. Maybe gift and curse. I'll let y'all tell us what that is. But in a way that this is like storytelling that we're just kind of giving accolades for any and everybody.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that? It doesn't necessarily have to gauge towards Young Thug because I think we all agree that that's wildly inappropriate.
I'll say something about it. I definitely believe that art is supposed to reflect the times. Of course, it can entertain, but when we're critiquing people on their art, we want to know what are you actually saying? What message are you delivering? And are you using any, like technical tools that will help you get better in your writing, or are you just putting anything down on the paper? There are a lot of great artists that are talking about very important things that are wildly intelligent. And back in the day, when hip hop first came out, you could not listen to hip hop without a dictionary next to you. And these days, it's
What's
just
a dictionary?
So. Yeah, the list it already sounds absurd and
Wild.
Yeah, that's
And
my
we did
take
have
on
to differentiate that it was a living, like people that are currently living.
it.
So,
Living. Yeah, okay.
I don't know if that has any caveat to it. What about you, Itina?
Haven't heard the song. I have no comments.
You know what's so funny? That's what Charles said. Charles was like, I literally can't even point to a Young
I guess
Thug
we'll
song
never know.
that I can even justify.
It's like, I
There's
love
not-
Young Thug.
You know
growing
what?
Up,
Actually,
you know?
I think that I will go and listen to it now so that I can have an understanding of what he's saying. I like digging into lyrics anyway to see what are you saying, where you coming from. I appreciate when people are expressing themselves in the way that they see fit. But then if we're talking about it for certain purposes, then we can kind of dissect it and say, okay, well, this actually makes no sense. This makes sense. I got to go listen to it now. What's the song called?
I don't know. That's what we're all
So
trying to
he
figure
has,
out.
so notably, he has the song, like his hit single was like Stoner.
Okay.
So it's that one, but then he's featured
Is
on
he
a lot
talking
of.
about people from the Stone Age?
No.
No.
I'm just joking. I'm joking.
Yeah.
Oh, he a stoner.
Leah knows.
Is he using is he using elements of metaphor, simile, imagery, personification? Is he using that? Or is
It's
it free
not giving
verse?
that to me.
Is it ritual?
Charles and I don't understand it, so maybe we're a generation removed from understanding.
It's the
I can
mumble.
tell you,
It's
as
the
someone who's
mumbling.
grown up on this music, no, he is not.
Okay.
He's saying sounds, and they sound clever, and you know, a lot of people just care about the sound, just how things sound.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of sound, it's interesting because it's National Poetry Month and
The 30th
the
anniversary.
30th anniversary,
Yes.
which is amazing.
Thanks
And
to
there's
American poets and writers.
Yes, and there's so many ways that people understand poetry. So, like you're in school and you kind of get the classics, right? And then
Yes.
you kind of, grow up and then you realize that there's so much of a connection to poetry, to what's happening in the world. Where does poetry come from? Because it's 30 years, so that's not a long time at all. But
Yeah,
where
Leah,
do you?
where does poetry come from?
I'm just gonna say, I think poetry comes from speaking. It comes from people speaking up and using their voice. It comes from revolution. Often things that people wanted to hide or couldn't say out loud, they put it in their poetry. Like, I'm gonna say, for example, a lot of like woman poets, they were in marriages where they were stifled, and a lot of the times they got out their actual feelings through poems, and some of those were very like hard feelings. Some of them were sad. Some of them were really tragic things. And yeah, I think poems come from needing to use your voice in a way that just makes sense to you. Yeah,
Yeah. I would say so. Yeah, poetry it's a language. It's a type of tool that you use within storytelling because everything is anchored on that. It's literary arts, it's literature. So poetry comes from probably a sense of how do I make people feel something and tap into all their senses, and what's the point? Why do you want people to tap into their senses? So that they can understand. And like one of the 7 habits of highly effective people, it's seeking to understand, then to be understood. How do you seek to understand? First thing you need to do is just listen. And listening to literature, words coming together, really actively listening in order to absorb and take it in. A lot of times the way that you piece together your sentences can allow for people to come in. So it's like ingredients. You know, if you want to bake a good cake, you're going to need the right ingredients. You know, we're not going to put certain ingredients in a cake. If you want a chocolate cake, maybe we won't put, I don't know, strawberries in it. Strawberries just don't work for the chocolate cake unless that's what you wanted.
Right,
but if
right,
you put
right.
strawberries in my chocolate cake, I might be upset. Like, what'd you do that for? That's not what I'm
was
looking
supposed
for.
to be a chocolate cake.
Right. So you say chocolate cake, I'm gonna taste it. Yeah, this is chocolate cake. You know, so it's the ingredients. What do I want my audience to feel? And sometimes it starts with you. Like, what am I feeling about these things that are happening? And then how do I utilize the right words or the elements, the literary elements, in order for you to get a sense of what I'm saying? And it's so many different ways. You know, a lot of times we look at poetry and we look at it as entertainment. And it's not just that. It's learning how to build empathy through the use of language. And so poetry it could be in anything. Poetry when I'm walking up and down the street or, you know, going on to the elevator, it's how am I being tactful with the words that I'm using so that I can love my neighbor as myself.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think that's
Love
an
my
important
neighbor as
point.
myself.
I love that. That's an important point, I think, to make because right now there's so much going on in the world where people are actually not writing or reading really at all.
Which is outrageous.
Which is outrageous. That's a whole nother conversation on literacy. And, you know, sometimes I think what can turn people off sometimes from poetry, and they maybe this is me, is that it's been kind of classified as here are the classics, here's the techniques that you have to use, and you almost sometimes feel like you have to write like here's a sonnet, here's a prose, you have to,
you have to follow a
this has to
blueprint.
rhyme, you know,
Yes, yes.
and it feels stifled. Do you feel like the world is changing a little bit in the sense of there's more creativity coming out while also there's this kind of push with like AI and people actually not writing their stuff and that, you know, there's all of those things that come into it. So I know that's a loaded, that's a loaded question, but
It's a good question, though.
It is a good question. Well, I feel like the world is changing because I'm changing. Like when it comes
we're on
to
here with poets.
poetry,
I was Charles and I are trying to like, Charles and I gotta like, we gotta get our minds
The
in
world
depth
is
on here.
changing.
Yes.
This group chat.
Yes.
like when it comes to poetry, I've never followed any format. Like I started writing poetry to get my feelings out, to interpret them and make sense of them, and also help me get through life lessons that from the outside, like I couldn't, grasp, but then I write it down and I'm like, oh, well, this is why this is happening. These are my inner feelings. And maybe that can, help someone else. And I free write. I go at it like it's a stream of consciousness, like it's just my thoughts. And yeah, I enjoy doing that. Of course, I do want to learn the techniques. I do want to, write a haiku, write all the things and have the skill. But I do like the fact that poetry to me feels as simple as talking. It feels as simple as just opening my mouth to speak, and whatever comes out, it's authentic to me. It's what I feel, and someone else is going to resonate with it. And if someone doesn't, that's fine too. Yeah.
And for those of y'all who can't see, Leah, she currently has her notebook right here. With she actually writes, which I think that's what's also missing, I think, with students is the
my
actual
God.
act of writing, because they all have so many iPads and everything else. So I think there's something about pen to paper
Pen to paper.
that speaks to the emotions that you have.
It
and,
does.
and how you can connect to bringing out what you want. What you want your feelings to come out, but also maybe what you want the world to know, and how you're
Right.
feeling
Right.
in that moment.
Yeah.
Tina, how do you feel about what's kind of happening with the world and poetry, literacy, writing?
That's a jam-packed question because what's happening with the world? My
Right,
God,
right.
so much is happening.
My God, today.
Man, so much is happening in the world right now, and I think that if we were to embrace language as it is, and tools to utilize to express yourself in a way where you feel honest and true to it, I think that's what we need within this world. Like, there's so many different ways to see a thing. And when you use personification, which is a literary arts term or an element, when you use personification, it allows you to step into the feet of or the perspective of something else.
Yes.
A lot of times when I'm teaching my students, one of my favorite things to use is personification. And I tell students, all right, imagine you're this pen. What are you saying? If it's in a dark space, if it's never being utilized, and just having students jump into an object and be able to speak for it. If you can do that, then you can jump into an individual that you may have no idea about, a different race, a different culture. If you can step into a pen's mind or a pencil's mind, then perhaps you can step into somebody else's space to have an understanding of how they may see the world. And I think that right there could make this world a little bit, better. There's so much more that needs to happen. But if we were able to step outside of ourselves and to see ourselves in other people. Now, I understand, granted, the fact that we are different. We all sit in this space right now, and everybody, for the most part, they're gonna call us people of color.
Right.
Right. And so, is that diverse? Yes. It's diverse not because of all of our colors, but because you have a perspective. You have a perspective, I have one, you have one, right? And so that makes it diverse. My experiences as a foster child, that is a perspective and that I can share. Maybe you haven't experienced that,
Right.
but I can use words and tell stories to help you understand.
Yes.
You know what I mean? to understand the experiences and maybe even feel a little bit of the cramps that you feel by the utilization of words to make it come to life. Like, oh, I can understand that pain. Yeah, I might not have, pushed
not
a
been
baby
there.
out.
Right. But I understand.
can kind
I
of
can
understand
feel
that
it.
pain because you're speaking my language. It's poetry and storytelling, really. Is like I said, that's what the anchor is. It allows you to become bilingual to
Yeah.
a certain degree. So poetry, even for me, poetry is not just in a box that we all kind of think about as far as it's written work. No, poetry is film. Poetry is dance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you understand the movement. That's metaphor.
Yes.
The look of a facial expression when you're on stage and you're
Yes.
saying something with your body. That's poetry to me. You know what I'm saying? So it's bilingual. And it is powerful enough to shift the minds. It's powerful enough to make you feel uncomfortable, but be okay with the discomfort because there's change that can happen.
Right.
So
Yes.
really trying to look at the written word as a tool and a mechanism to fight, to fight in a
Definitely.
way.
It's definitely a tool to fight.
Yeah, to fight in a way to have me help you see it how I see it. But then I want to see it how you see it. And how do we
Yes.
work together? And I might not agree with you.
Exactly.
And that's okay.
Yeah,
But we
yeah.
can still fight together.
Yeah,
Right.
that
You
is
know
so
what I mean?
true.
So that's the way that I look at it. And in reflection of how, as the world is changing, just like you said, the world is changing because I'm changing. Today, everybody, Lauryn Hill said this on her Unplugged. This is the first time y'all meeting me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I always go back to that.
This the first time y'all meeting me, and sometimes
that Unplugged album. was
every
so
day
good.
I feel like there's a new version of myself.
Every
That
day's
was
a new
trapped.
day, a new rebirth.
That was trapped deep within, that you're pulling out from experiences. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
But
yes.
I digress.
And also from taking risks. And
Yes.
Art is like taking a risk.
Yeah,
it's like
it's a language.
and the many different forms of art. You saying it's poetry, I resonate with that. And also, this is something that is said at like a few poetry open mics that I go to in Buffalo. So, Empty Coffee Cup is
Yes.
one of those, and Vedetti Rhodes, she's the host, and she likes to say this thing is like, share your poetry, whatever it is. If you want to sing, that's your poetry.
Yeah,
if you want to
wanna
dance, that's your
Yeah,
poetry.
yeah.
You know,
Just do it, and you're safe to do it here
Yes,
at Empty
yes.
Cup.
And
it's
For
deeper
27
than
years.
The classics that we had to learn in
Yeah.
school, like
Yes.
those techniques that that put us in this box. I know this is
Yeah.
something, a question I'm gonna throw that Charles and I often talked about was mental health.
Yeah.
And where do you all see poetry and mental health? Because we have a huge mental health crisis in this country, obviously
Yes.
with all the things we talked about, the world that's changing. But do you feel like poetry is a tool to use? I mean, because
Definitely.
therapy doesn't, we're all, pro therapy, get your help. And,
Yeah.
there's the science to that. But there's also an emotional point that I think that people are not necessarily always engaged in creatively,
Yes.
that poetry can play a part. And can you all talk a little bit about poetry and the tool
Yeah.
as a help for mental health?
Yeah, I'm
yeah, for
interested in your
sure.
thoughts.
I journal a lot. And I've been journaling since I was really, really young, and I've dealt with a lot in my life, in my childhood, as far as like parents not really agreeing with them, having different perspectives and things of that nature, and not being able to share my voice and feeling very stifled. And so I used to journal and just write down everything I ever wanted to say to my mom. If she made me mad, I would write all the cuss words and be super, angry in my book. And it would help me. Just getting it out really helps. I feel like poetry can be good for that because you can look objectively at your feelings and, understand that it's the circumstance is not going to last forever. Like, whatever emotion you're feeling towards your mother, whatever, thing that is happening in your life, if you're going through hardship, say you're struggling to make money, it's when you put it on paper, it kind of makes it a little bit less of a huge problem. When you leave things in your mind, it has time to just sit and become something bigger than it is. And that's why creativity and art is very healing. It's very important. it helps you transmute those energies and those emotions that are inside of you. And so I've been practicing that since I was really young, and honestly, it's helped me a lot. It's helped me to get out of my head, and I'm someone that is frequently in my head, and I feel like a lot of people are.
Yeah, I mean,
We all are
yeah,
in
who's
there.
not? I mean, life's right? So
Yes.
So you
think
got a
about
life
it.
right along with it.
Right.
Yes, literally, life right along with it.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
As you were saying that, I thought about a conversation that I had on WUFO yesterday with a good, she's family at this point, an individual in my life, Alonda Gathers. And the way I constructed like this kind of space, poetically speaking, for the radio, I always have a quote that I kind of geared off with. And the quote for yesterday was from Zora Neale Hurston. And she said, if you are silent about your pain, they'll kill you and say that you enjoyed it. You know what I mean? Like, so we were talking about different things. And one of the interesting points that we didn't get to was talking about how plants respond to sound and vibration. And they grow in different ways based on the frequencies that they're exposed to. So if we think about words as carrying their own kind of energy, you want to think about like how is that language that we write and share shape not just the individual, but how does it shape the healing for the community? And so like when we're saying, you talk about mental health, which isn't a new thing.
Right,
it's
right,
nothing
right,
new
right.
under the sun.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We've been dealing with mental health for a long time. Look at Van Gogh,
Right,
who cut
right.
off his
Yeah.
ear because he was probably hearing a whole bunch of things going on. But when you are honest, like you are honest in your journal and writing out what you feel, because that's your sanctuary to express yourself. But if we take that, the pain that we're dealing with, and we're out loud with it, and we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, and then say it to the public, like, hey, here's this thing that I'm dealing with right now, and here's how it's being a burden on me. I give it to you. In that process, you allow for other people to realize, I'm not the only one dealing with this. Okay. And now I can be able to be vulnerable as well. And what does that do? So me understanding and reflecting on my own pain and being honest and true and sharing it could lead the community to a healing process.
We gonna keep going there. I do have a question.
Yeah,
I do have
yeah.
a question for you two.
I'm glad that you spoke up because people would be like, wait, where's Charles?
I know Charles.
You're part of the show.
Charles is always like on the side.
It's your show too.
It's the voice.
always on
Everybody
the
knows
side,
Charles.
But listen, I enjoy these conversations, especially when it comes to a forum like this. Like I've dibbled in it a little bit, you know. But my question to both of y'all is, when was the moment you realized that poetry was your voice?
That's a good one, Charles. That was the... See, Charles, that's why we call him the voice on the group chat.
Yeah.
That is kind
Yeah.
of difficult.
You know what? I would say I'm gonna once again continue to stress. For me, it's storytelling, and poetry is a tool within that. It's just a way to. It's like you need specific tools for specific reasons, you know. And so poetry allows you to dig into the senses for what reason? Because you want to help people understand something and be taken on a journey towards that thing. Imagine if our politicians were poets.
Ooh, yeah.
They're using that tool in order to shape and to drive you to understanding
Yep.
something. Imagine if we got the budget
Because they
right
get the
now.
oratory skills, but they don't necessarily always
Sometimes.
have the emotional. Well, sometimes.
Sometimes.
sometimes they don't have
Now
the skills
imagine
either.
if
That's true.
somebody could imagine if somebody could break down the new budget
Right, right, and get people to really
in a
understand.
way for us
Yes.
to understand
That's
the
such a good
reason why
idea.
why taxes had to go up. If we can use the right language to shape for people to understand on both sides,
I still
like no
think that
matter
could be
what,
amended,
X,
though.
Y, and Z, but we're not going to dig too much into that.
yeah.
But to the point, when did I realize that storytelling was my voice? When I was in a counseling room, because I dealt with so much, and people know this because I share it a lot because it's a huge part of my life. It was that moment where that counselor understood the assignment the assignment was to help this young girl who needed support and who had a hard time expressing herself in positive ways. I threw chairs to express myself and got into a lot of trouble. So this 6-year-old, 7-year-old little girl, little brown-skinned girl on the east side, this counselor said, here's a pen, here's some paper. I want you to draw.
Yes.
So it wasn't words at first. Draw and then write however you feel and just like get it out. And I remember the feeling of release and just this motion, the movement, the dance of the hand with the pen and then writing. And then it turned into stories and characters. And I realized that I can hide behind my characters and they can be me, but they weren't necessarily me. They didn't carry the title, my name. But I expressed all of the pain that I had at that moment with that character. So my pain was there. It was released. You know, that's when I started to realize, oh, but then I learned about more tools, more poetic tools. You're talking about photography. Photos, graphos is a Greek term. Writing with light. Photos is light, graphos is writing. When you're doing photography, you're writing.
Yeah.
That's poetic. Film is poetic. Dance
definitely
is
stories,
poetic.
yeah.
So all of these things you can utilize to tell stories. And so that strengthened my voice to be able to be in different spaces, to do exhibitions, to say, this is my community. You can see it in both photographic form, but also written form, so that you can feel connected to it by any means, whether it's film, whether it's pulling dancers into music videos saying preach. But like, how do we gather all of these creative art forms to tell a story? So I say all of that to say I was very young.
Yes.
I could have just said that, but
the story was important.
I used exactly,
Yeah,
and I
it
used
gives
a lot
context
exactly
to it so that
I
people
used
that are going
metaphor
through
and
it
all of
can,
that.
you know, help other folks, especially if they have children and they're trying to figure out how to manage, you know, those behaviors. Because so often I feel like we go to the punishment before we go into any other options of trying to just understand why people are going through what they're going through. I know
My
there's-
mom made me write the dictionary when I would get into trouble. And I thank God that she did
That's
that.
beautiful.
In the moment, I'm like, you old woman. And I love you, Mom. I love you, Mom.
It's like,
To
how
say
dare
that.
you sit
I
there and
actually
make
used to
Hey,
write
hey.
the dictionary for fun, me and my twin.
And then it became fun. I'm like, oh, onomatopoeia. That's interesting. You know?
So Leah, what about for you?
Yes.
I would say I've always been a very creative and artistic child, and I've definitely always used many different forms of art, these tools. So my very first love was singing and songwriting, and I have a twin sister. Her name is Kalea. Hey, Kalea. And we were partners. We would write songs together. We would sing together, and all things like that. We would also write short stories together. I remember at some point in middle school, we were writing books, a story about all of the kids in our school. So basically, it was the scenario where the whole world ended, and the only people that survived were the kids that lived in our school.
When was this?
And
Was
we
this
wrote
recently,
stories.
or
No,
was
this was middle school. We were kids, maybe like 4th grade or something like that.
That's a good section
Yeah.
of time.
Yes. And so, all the kids would come up to us like, oh, I want to be a character in your book. Can I be a character in your
that's
book?
cool.
So, and then we also would share our songs and things like that. So somewhere along the way, I would say, like, as far as poetry being my voice, like, there's been many moments, and there was that. Somewhere along the way, I feel like I definitely had my creativity stifled a little bit. And then I refound it again when I started writing, journaling. And
What stifled it?
and
I'm sorry.
man, I'm just gonna say society, indoctrination, and just things that I couldn't control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
yeah.
actually going to go to a question similar to the stifling part
Yeah.
because I work in higher ed. Itina knows as well. She's on the board. It's really difficult, I think, for some people when they talk about poetry to not live in this very elitist world because to a lot of people, poetry feels like it is not approachable at all. It's almost like the same way I try to explain to people like pop music to like opera, right? There's a very like a particular kind of world
Yeah.
that like thrives off of like poetry, and they're so well read and they're so cultured.
And that's crazy because poetry is literally hip hop. Like,
Right, yeah.
like rap and storytelling, things of that nature. Those are other ways that I fell in love with poetry. So my dad, he's a hip hop head, and he used to teach me lessons through hip hop, through
Shout
lyrics.
your dad out.
Shout Dad, Khalil Griffin. Hey. But Nas was one of his favorite rappers. Yeah, I got Nas right here.
I was gonna say, and Wu-Tang, and
Yeah.
And, you know, Wu-Tang. And he would play like DMX, Damien, and like, what's the message in this? Write it out, write about it. So my dad was one of the teachers that got me to write pretty much about, you know, art. And then also teachers. I'll say that I also like was very much inspired to teach. Teachers in my school, they would, you know, see me and see that I wanted to learn and see that I was like, you know, eager to be creative and to participate. And they would just give me challenges to do things. And so they would give me writing prompts, and I'd write, or they'd give me journals and, you know, things of that nature. So so many moments when I knew that writing, storytelling, and art was going to be my voice. And I think for what really put me into the shoes of a poet, of calling myself a poet, it was my experience at Buffalo State College in 2019.
Shout out Buff State.
Shout out Buff State.
I think everybody here.
I did not graduate. Hey, but
That's okay.
I did
Just talk to
go.
me later. We'll get you. We'll get you. We'll get you. We'll get you there.
No.
Okay.
Exactly. You
But
don't worry about that.
I had a poetry class, and
Who's the
it,
professor?
I do not remember the professor.
good, it's all
But
good.
she was a white lady, and I loved her. And I think I still actually have my poetry syllabus inside my
Nice.
Google
Yeah.
Drive. So,
Nice.
and I just started learning more about, you know, poetry, about the Harlem Renaissance, about a lot of the Black revolutions that happened through poetry, and like it really inspired me. And my dad, he's also just like a big history buff, teaching me about Black history, and I feel like I was being prepped and primed to be a revolutionary, literally. Yeah, I started writing poems while I was dorming at Bishop Hall at Buff State, and I also just like did the same thing that like I said I did in my childhood. I wrote out my emotions, and then I kind of kept those to myself, and I was awakened in myself with that poetry. And then there was another moment. I lived with my sister in 2019 in an apartment, and we moved out in 2020 after, you know, COVID, all the things, and we were adults now, and we're like, yeah we're living on our own. We're gonna. So I started posting poetry on Instagram, and it was really just for fun. It was for nothing more than just that. Like my goal, actually, since I was really young, was to be a teacher. That's why I'm Leah the teacher. Also, you know, a little mix of the hip hop influence in that too. But a lot of people gave me good feedback, and I enjoy hearing other people's opinions, hearing people's perspectives, and a lot of times that is what encouraged me to step into myself and to actually pursue this thing that was just something that I did for fun. So, yeah,
I love that.
that's it. That's
love
how I
that.
found my poetry voice.
I feel like we could talk forever, but we can't.
And we can.
because they're gonna
But we can't.
look at us crazy.
Listen,
but
no, listen. We could. We could.
We could.
We can basically, you know, wrap it up for the radio portion of these things.
Yeah.
But make sure you stay on, like, comment, and subscribe.
there you
know.
go. There you go.
But before we wrap up for this portion of it, it wouldn't be right if we don't have some spoken word
Yes. Yep.
from the two of you. So I will leave it to y'all to give us some words before we wrap this up.
Absolutely. I'm gonna let you lead.
Okay. I've been debating between two poems, but I'll just do the one that comes most naturally to me. History repeats, we gotta stop it in its tracks. They try to silence us, but they could never do that. We gotta teach our children what our lies and what our facts so they never get a chance to run that same game back. I said, History repeats, we gotta have each other's backs. Got everybody asking how we supposed to do that. They want us separated, but we're stronger in packs. A united front, the only way the system won't last. They use the same tactics they used in my granddaddy's day. Cops murder, say it's self-defense and get to walk away. White man with the same charge only get help for a day, while my black brother gets 5 years. This stuff is not okay. Prisons like the new plantation, profiting from labor. Religious got us waiting on a white savior to save us. School systems teaching children how to work for the man, while colleges convincing us that debt is part of the plan. Liquor store, corner store, fast food chain. To get some groceries, we dang near have to take a To get some groceries, we dang near have to take a plane. Got hospitals with idiots convinced we don't feel pain. And I ain't even finished yet. This stuff is hurting my brain. Low income because the banks refused to give us some loans, relying on black communities, so we couldn't own our homes. Denied us jobs, so we were forced to get our hustle on. Black mother got no help unless she lived alone. Public enemy number one, they gave us drugs and guns. They moved us to their projects and predicted the outcome. Portrayed us in the media as violent and dumb. Won't see a black man on the screen unless that man is on the run or shooting baskets. I explained it enough, oppression on top of oppression. We got it rough, but the only way to change is to be aware. So wake up, smell the polluted air, check the patterns. You can predict their next move. Just pay attention, and there's no way that we will lose, because history repeats. We gotta stop it in its tracks. They try to silence us, but they can never do that. We got to teach our children what our lies and what our facts, so they never get a chance to run that same game back. I said, history repeats, we got to have each other's
Back.
and that's it.
I love that.
Okay.
Doing our snaps.
I love the rhythm and everything. So that's actually a song.
Yeah, it was a rap before it turned into a poem, and a lot of my poems are, honestly. So yeah.
I love that. You saying that made me think about the song I wrote called Privilege. And so this song was in response to a documentary that's on PBS called Juneteenth, Faith and Freedom. And so I was commissioned to write a piece that would go part of the soundtrack. And I wanted to play with this idea of privilege because it's always used in a certain way, as if we don't have it as black people.
Yeah.
And I actually believe that we had it. Yeah, we all do.
Yeah.
So my origin is Eden. My soul gripped freedom since the soil that he breathed in. He made man from his image. And the serpent trying to tell us different. I know your lies. And the system set to hold us back. We know that. And they point and they tell us to live and lack. Don't do that. Then they box us and try to sell us back. But girl, don't do that. See, they standing on the blocks like mannequins and dance, monkey dance. That sounds like pandering. Are we still slaves? Y'all blame it on our blackness, but I have to be honest, I gotta blame it on my habits. If that's the case, that's any pigment. So self-control, get a grip, management. You stack your cash and make it flip, dividends. You make mistakes and own them all, handle it. You still struggle, still cope. That's privilege. Still standing, still hope. That's privilege. When your family is close and you don't let go, that's privilege. America the beautiful, cotton in your cuticles, master in the cubicle, he who loved to do the most. Whips like taxes, fraction my cash in, goals on my napkin. I tuck green in my satchel. I stack up to the nightfall, notes in my chapter, this book of life, it do me right. You just see my after. Before I was captive, the dirt was all in my mattress, epitome of trash mess. Imagine a room with no pigment trying to tell me what black is. I'm privileged. Yup. I'm privileged. Even with my past full of distance, I'm privileged. Even when you gain from my winnings, I'm privileged. So America needs to stand from these hands of privilege. So standing with my hands held high, this freedom was the plan the whole time. We come from God, and that's privilege. That's privilege.
Well, we were privileged to have y'all today. I know that's for sure. Charles and I were just looking at each other like, okay, y'all are killing it. Thank you so much for coming on to Group Chat. And it's National Poetry Month, so make sure y'all out there, make sure you get your poetry on, whether you write or read.
National Poetry Year. No.
Yeah, right.
Every day.
That's every day is National Poetry Day. We'll put it out there for that. But before we go, Charles, tell them what they got to do.
Like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to keep telling y'all this until this show's no longer here, which is not going to happen. So,
thank y'all for joining us on Group Chat today. And thank you, Itina. And thank you, Leah, for being here with us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Peace.